Welcome to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome inside the KDKA TV studios for this Extra Point. The Steelers lose not only a game, but they lost their position in the standings. Bob Pompeani, along with Hoke Bro 76, Chris Hoke, two-time champion, and the Steelers right now struggling 2-4 in their last 6 games. While that's been going on, the Baltimore Ravens are 5-0 in their last 5 games. Thus, they're tied for the lead at 6-5, but Baltimore has a better division record, so therefore they have the lead temporarily, and things really start to get crazy here with the scheduling coming up. We'll get into that in a minute, but your biggest takeaway about this game today, because I thought the Steelers were in a good position when I heard that 6 defensive players were not going to play for Chicago, but I don't think they attacked the middle of the field as much as they should have.
Yeah, I think what the game plan of the Bears was really great. They came in taking away the middle of the field, taking away the deep ball, forcing Mason Rudolph and the Pittsburgh Steelers to throw the ball underneath, to check the ball down, to throw screens. That was the game plan of the Bears, and they executed perfectly. They were able to put pressure on Mason Rudolph and get him off his point. But I think alternatively also, Bob, it was defensively for the Steelers. They just struggled to get pressure on the quarterback. One hit on Caleb Williams out of 60, over 30 tosses in this game, 1 hit on the quarterback, 1 sack by T.J. Watt. And they really struggled in their pass defense, especially in the second half, of slowing down Caleb Williams, who had just a tough trigger and was a quick throw for those Bears.
He doesn't have the best completion percentage, but Caleb Williams, when he had a chance in rhythm, in the middle of the field especially, they took advantage of the second half. Steelers go 3 and out, 3 and out. They score immediately, walk right down the field and made it look rather easy. So the final is in, and the Steelers lose. Mike Tomlin now addressing the media after the game.
You know, I thought it was a hard-fought game. Certainly got to compliment Coach Johnson and the Bears, man, on a winning performance. Like I just told the team, man, it's tight when it's good on good, particularly when you're in a hostile environment. Any number of plays could have changed the outcome of the game, and that's why we just got to live every down singularly in all 3 phases, knowing that. And I think today was a very good illustration of that. I thought, you know, we could have had better field position with our kickoff team, for example. We had more timely punting with our punt team. Thought we started the second half slow. I think we had 2 3-and-outs on offense. I thought our defense could have smiled in the face of adversity better. In the first half in particular, I think we got stopped on 4th down. They scored a touchdown. We turned the ball over. They scored a touchdown. And I think if we're going to be good, you got to make people settle for field goals or less under those circumstances. And so we're all responsible. We know that. That game is an illustration of that. It's just tight when it's good on good, and we didn't make enough plays and enough sequences, as I mentioned, to be successful. DK had an ankle. You saw him go back in. Joey Porter's got a hip flexor. He wasn't able to return. Broderick Jones had stingers, I think. I don't have any further description of that. I think he'll be examined for further information. Questions?
Mike, could you talk about the decision to not use Aaron, and could he be ready by next week?
I anticipate him being ready for next week. It was a prudent decision to make. You know, certainly it wasn't a fluid week for him. It was a fluid week for Mason in terms of reps and so forth. And so I think it'll be in our rear view as we move forward. I'm hopeful of that.
Did Aaron say he was ready to play today?
Aaron always wants to play.
Mike, did you make that decision this morning?
Yesterday.
Mike, you had a chance to go up 10 in the first half. Why did you want to go for it on 4th and 1?
Because if you can't make it on 4th down and 1, man, oftentimes you don't deserve to win.
What are some of the factors that next week you think will be different for Aaron than this one? Is it just the snaps and the amount he was able to play, or physically?
Certainly, just on the surface level, the amount he will be able to work next week.
Mike, overall, your thoughts on Mason's performance?
You know, I thought he was game. He always is. He made plays for us, particularly in the 4th quarter. But as a collective, him included, we didn't do enough to win.
Does Mason's play dictate whether or not Rodgers starts next week?
I'll talk to you guys about next week. Next week, I'm here to analyze what just transpired.
Mike, did you debate on going for it on 4th down with 2 minutes left in the game?
I did not. I was holding all 3, and as you can see, we got the ball back.
Mike, what made the middle of the field so tough to defend against Chicago for a number of those series?
You know, I thought they just did a nice job, man. You got to give those guys credit. He had some time in inside breaking routes, man. The quarterback was highly accurate on play pass, turning his back to the defense and coming up and throwing. And sometimes you got to give credit to the opponent, and I certainly do in this instance.
Mike, what went into James Pierre starting over Slay?
Again, he got a quality week's work. When you're going into tough competitive circumstances, sometimes you base decisions on preparation and who gets the looks. And certainly, as we mentioned and talked about over the last several weeks, James Fier has been playing well. We'll see what holds for next week.
Like, if you had a timeout that last play, would you have thought about trotting balls well out there? But since it was...
I'm not into the hypothetical world.
Mike, what made Caleb Williams so tough to stop today?
The same thing that makes him tough to stop every week. He's done a nice job of extended plays without a whole lot of negativity. He's highly accurate, man. He spreads the ball around to a lot of people. He's a good player.
Defense on quick changes can come up with a big play. What do you attribute that to? And is that an area that I know you guys focus on that a lot?
You know, as I mentioned, they made some plays.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Mike Tomlin after the game. And now these are your final stats today. And you can see the first downs, the Steelers ran more plays, but they had really long drives. One of them was 17 plays. It took a lot of time, almost 8 minutes. But the passing yards, a big difference. In fact, the Steelers had only 81 through 3 quarters. And I don't think they attacked down the field as much as they would have liked.
And I think that was more of what the Bears were doing, right? Going a lot of bracketing and a lot of too high with safeties over the top, not allowing Mason Rudolph to go on the field. He tried several times, could not connect, had an interception on that first pass of the game. But the reality was the Bears executed their game plan to perfection.
Yeah, they did. The Steelers ran the ball, but again, down the field, I maybe it's just me, but I was certainly expecting more passes down the field given the state of that Bears defense. They had a lot of guys out there were playing with backups and then backups to the backups, and yet there wasn't much success down the field. Is that a result of the receivers not getting separation or just the play design altogether?
I think the defensive scheme, right, the way they came out was to go too high, right? 2 safeties over the top, playing underneath with the defensive backs, and that allowed the Bears to keep a cap on everything and make Mason Rudolph to check it down. And that was the struggle. Even when they scored in that second half, Bob, in that touchdown, they went 17 plays for 73 yards. For 7 minutes and 47 seconds. That's a long drive to go 73 yards, 17 plays. It's because they kept making the Steelers dink and dunk to move the ball down the field.
Second half, the Bears did the opposite. They attacked the middle of the field and moved quickly down the field. So they lose 31-28. We'll talk more about this from Soldier Field today. Take a look at your line score here as the Steelers had the lead at halftime, only to see it go away in the second half. 31-28 your final. We have more interviews coming up. We'll also take your calls a little later in the program as the Steelers fall to 6 wins, 5 losses. We'll be back shortly.
Steelers Extra Point is presented by RE/MAX Select Realty, voted the most trusted agents in real estate.
Things are certainly getting crowded in the AFC. A lot of teams at 6-5, including the Chiefs. As you saw, they won in overtime against the Colts. Both the Ravens and the Steelers are 6-5. Let's talk about the scoring summary from today because it started well enough even after the Bears had the lead. Caleb Williams, 5 yards. And DJ Moore had a big day, 2 touchdown receptions. But that's when DK Metcalf got credit for a rushing touchdown, 6-yard score, originally called a passing touchdown, and then a big play by the defense. And Nick Herbig recovers a fumble in the end zone. Of course, TJ Watt caused that with a strip sack. Caleb Williams got very careless with the ball, but he came right back after that. 12-yard touchdown pass to Loveland to make it 14-14. Steelers regain it with a long drive that results in a 1-yard touchdown by Jalen Warren. That was preceded by a 55-yard fake tush push. And one of the bigger plays of this game at the time by Kenneth Gainwell. Santos with a 47-yard field goal. That ends the half at 21-17. Third quarter, it was Williams, 25 yards to Moore. And that was an easy one. There was no one in the middle of the field to defend it. It looked like a miscommunication at some point, but then it was Kyle Monange. Another easy touchdown there to make it 31-21. The Steelers with that long drive that Chris alluded to at 17 plays. They scored on a touchdown to Freiermuth. And quite frankly, Freiermuth and some of these tight ends, there's not enough action there. I don't know if they're not getting open, not being targeted enough. What do you think? Because there was one point where they're getting a lot of yards after catch earlier in the season.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, the Steelers were number 1 in the NFL in terms of yards after catch. Over the last couple weeks, they have been limited. Teams are tackling the catch and getting the ball to Freiermuth. Freiermuth leaked out behind the defense for that touchdown. Jonnu Smith not getting much going there. Darnold Darnell Washington today was held in check. And the reality was this Bears defense played lights out in that second half. I mean, you look at the run game right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Bob. In the first half, they ran 16 times for 125 yards, 7.8 yards a carry. Second half, 20 carries for 61 yards, 3.1 yards a carry. The Steelers had the lead. They took away the run, made the Steelers throw the ball, and didn't allow them to throw the ball deep when Mason Rudolph tried several times. Great strategy by the Chicago Bears. Outplayed those Steelers offensive players.
Pat Freiermuth only had 3 receptions, one of them for a touchdown. And again, not much activity for the tight ends in general. He spoke after the game. Let's hear from number 88.
Just lacks execution. It's got to be better at that.
How do you think Mason did out there today?
He battled. Thought he battled. He came and gave us an opportunity to win the game, and that's all you can ask for.
How did it feel trying to get the flow with him? Just obviously played a little bit last week, but full game with him again. How did you think the process went?
The process was smooth in the huddle. Get lined up other than that 2-minute, but operation was smooth with him.
How was his demeanor kind of that last drive there?
It was great. It was what you wanted from a quarterback. Just we went in there expecting to win the game. The defense got us another opportunity, and we just got to execute better.
Obviously, playing with influx this week, what you guys find out as an offense what you're going to be doing at quarterback?
We worked with both throughout the week, so we were comfortable with whoever went, and that was up to Mike T and their decision. But we're comfortable with whoever played. And, they both worked this week, and we had a lot of rest with them both.
And I know it's a long season, but how frustrating has it been the last 6 games? I think, or whatever it is, 2-4 in the last 6.
Yeah, I mean, we got to stack wins if we want to get where we want to go. We just got to be better.
No question about that. 3 receptions, 19 yards. That was it. A touchdown at the end of that drive. 3 targets, 3 receptions. I find it interesting, Chris, that the wide receivers again today combined, all of them, just 10 catches on the day.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of balls to go around, right? You have your receivers, you have your tight ends, and we know this Arthur Smith's offense is very tight end centric, Bob. He wants to go to those big fellas, and today this didn't deliver those big plays. I mean, Darnell Washington, you remember last week when against the Bengals, he delivered some big time, energizing this team kind of runs after catch. They weren't there today. It was a really tough sledding for the Steelers offense to move the ball and to score points.
We'll talk more about the wide receivers, specifically DK Metcalf, who's not had the kind of start I think most of us would have expected, at least from an activity point of view. We'll get into that and more as we continue here in our postgame coverage of the Steelers' loss today, 31-28. They're now 6-5, coming home to the Buffalo Bills next Sunday, a 4:25 game right here on KDKA. We'll be back as we continue. Going to hear from TJ Watts on his day next.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back as we take a look at the standings now, because everyone looks at numbers, where they are, and how this whole playoff picture is coming into focus. You'll see in the AFC North right now, the Ravens have moved to the top. Even though they have the same record as the Steelers, they have a better division record, and among these teams, that's the number 1 tiebreaker, division record. Steelers right behind them, and they can change that. Of course, they have 2 head-to-head meetings with the Ravens coming up, one in 2 weeks from now. Then the Bengals, they lose their 3-8. They're pretty much done. So are the Cleveland Browns at 2-8. Now, as far as big plays, there were some big ones in this game early on. It was a 7-7 game, and the Steelers had the Bears backed up against their own goal line. That's when Caleb Williams made a mistake. TJ Watt was all over him. He got a strip sack, turned into a touchdown by Nick Herbig. Let's hear what TJ Watt had to say about that and the rest of the game today.
TJ, they seem to be hurting you over the middle, especially in the second half. What was going on there? What was he able to do? 18. What was he able to do for Beach?
Get the ball over the middle. I mean, we weren't able to get pressure. We want to get the ball clean effectively to his receivers. A lot of second and longs that I can remember that turned into either third and shorts and were converted, or either converted from second and long. So, same story, man. Got to get off the field.
What kind of adjustments did they make in the second half?
I just thought they were able to move the ball efficiently. Obviously, the one drive that sticks out is the one where they ran the ball significantly, the whole drive all the way down. Punched it in, I think, at the 1 or 2 yard line. So drives like that can't happen, especially in moments where you know they're going to run the football. They're loading up in big personnel groupings and continuing to run the football, and then pull the bang 8. Need to get pressure to help those guys in the back end.
TJ, you guys pride yourself on making those stops after turnovers, but they got 14 points off that today. Is that kind of the difference in what you see?
Absolutely. That's definitely a point of emphasis to be able to help our offense and create those, to limit them to 3 points or no points or create turnovers. And anytime you're not able to do that, you're not able to support your offense. It's not a good recipe.
It was a game with a lot of big shifts in momentum. Talked about those quick changes. Do you feel like you guys handled that emotionally in the moment well enough?
I mean, it didn't result in good enough play, so I don't know about the emotions, but we need to play better.
You guys go up 21-14, they get a field goal before the half. It just seemed like you guys are a little bit off in those situations this year where not a lot of time left on the clock, but teams are able to take the ball down the field on you guys.
I agree completely. It's not acceptable.
TJ, what did you see on that play when you sacked Caleb in the end zone?
Just trying to make a play. We knew that he was going to try to escape to the B gaps. Really tough quarterback to get down, just trying to make a play.
I know there's obviously a lot of frustration about how the game ended, but that play in particular, you pass your brother. What did that mean to you? What does that mean to you?
I'll think about it later.
TJ, with the Ravens winning today, the division is getting pretty tight. Does it feel like your margin for error is starting to get slimmer?
The margin for error is slim every week. It's the National Football League. We have a lot of things that need to be fixed quickly, and we need to be playing our best football at this stretch of the season, and we need to get better and get better quick.
Anything else? All right, thanks.
Well, if you wanted to see what a frustrated individual looks like, that would be it right there. You can tell that he just was not in a good mood, and why should he be? They lost a game. However, it is something that we do want to talk about, and it was a big day for the Watt family. They were all there, and they watched T.J. Watt on that sack. The only one he had there, he now has 115, which is 0.5 more, half sack more than his brother J.J., who happened to be doing the game.
Yeah, and look at the stats there. I mean, he's still almost 2 seasons behind, or maybe a season and a half behind his brother in terms of games, but his numbers look equal to the task.
Now, the other thing the Steelers did do was take away their run game. They came into this, the Bears did, with one of the better running numbers in the league. The combination of DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monange, along with Caleb Williams' ability to escape, made them number 2 in the NFL in that department, but they did not have that kind of success. I guess that was the first key that the Steelers wanted to stop. Let's hear from Nick Herbig now, who played a role in that.
Nick, why do you think you guys have to put it together?
I wish I had an answer for you. We got all the talent. We got good coaches. We got good players. We just got to win games, man. That's all it is. That's what the NFL is about, is winning. Regardless of what goes on throughout the week, regardless of who's playing, who's not playing, we got to, end of the day, we got to win.
Did they do something really different in the second half there? Scoring, I think you guys were outscored 17-7 there.
I mean, we got to watch film and look at it, but right now we just got to regroup and come back stronger next week.
You talked about the frustrations. How frustrating has it been? I mean, I know it's a long season, but you got to look at the last 6 games. You guys are, 2-4?
Yeah, I mean, hindsight is 20/20. You can't live in the past. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday, all we can do is look forward and finish the season strong.
I know you guys usually focus on turnovers a lot for every game, but how important was it this week to capitalize on that?
Yeah, that's every week, like you said. Like that's our culture. That's what we do here. We obviously need to be more aware. Like, I can't be jumping off sides, and we got to just play good team ball, which we didn't do today, and we're looking to get back after it next week.
So here we go with the combination of the double trouble. Alex Highsmith did not play today. He's missed another game with a pec, but there's the 2 guys who are on the edge today. They started like they're going to have a big day. It didn't really pan out that way.
And these are 2 playmakers. And for the Steelers defense to play well, Bob, these 2 have to get pressure on the quarterback. 1 quarterback pressure today between the 2 of them. T.J. Watt had 1. T.J. Watt had the sack. No sack for Nick Herbig. And so that's what the Steelers live on, right? They live and die on pressure by their 2 outside linebackers. It's been like that since I played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so they've got to be able to apply pressure that allows the DBs to be opportunistic on the back end and create turnovers.
Yeah, but there are some days you don't get it, and you got to come up with plan B to make it work so you stop a team. There was a key play in that first half where Y.A. Black recovered a fumble, even though I never saw it in there. Did you find that?
I don't think anybody saw that.
No.
That was very curious to me because they let that play go on for a long time. And as you and I talked about before we came on air, I think the subsequent drive where they didn't give Connor Hayward that first down on that tush push was kind of a makeup call, Bob, for what happened earlier, because I think they let DeAndre Swift's fumble go too long and it shouldn't have been a turnover.
Yeah, and the tush push looked like it absolutely had it. It was ruled that it was short, and they go on a drive right there that resulted in a touchdown of Colton Loveland, and that tied the game. So that whole sequence was a big one in this game. We'll take a break, come back with more, and a little later in the program, we'll take your calls on what happened today at Soldier Field. 31-28, the Bears are 8-3 and still in first place in their division. A big surprise given the nature of the teams in that division. Steelers fall to 6-5. Back right after this.
Steelers Extra Point is brought to you by Chafin Luhana, doing good by doing right.
All right, let's take a look around the league in some of those games today. As you know, the Texans on Thursday night beat the Bills and sacked Josh Allen 8 times. That Bills team will be here next week on some additional rest for them. We'll see what that game is going to be like. Giants lose to the Lions, and the Giants had them down big most of this game, but the Lions came back and win it. The Ravens over the Jets today, 23-10, so they have won their 5th in a row, and the Patriots had a tussle in Cincinnati, but they win that game 26-20. As far as the Steelers game, well, it was Mason Rudolph who got the call. Were you surprised when you heard that he was going to be the starter first off?
I really didn't. I thought it was more of a gamesmanship throughout the week that Aaron Rodgers was going to play. When he had that fractured wrist or arm, I just didn't think he was going to have time to turn around, especially when reports came out of practice on Thursday that he didn't finish the practice. That was discouraging a little bit. But listen, Mason is a starting caliber quarterback in my opinion. And even though today he wasn't able to get those big chunk yardage that we're used to seeing from him, I still think he's a guy they can rely on.
Yeah, first throw of the day was an interception, but I look at that as more of a tremendous defensive play as he was trying to hit DK Metcalf. After that, he hit 9 in a row, and he had things going. But at the end, only 171 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception for an 86.9 passer rating. Mason Rudolph after the game, let's hear from him.
Yeah, I think at that point you just got to put all the ebbs and flows of the game behind you and look ahead, and credit to our defense for getting us the ball back. Time on the clock and giving us a chance to win it.
Mason, when did you find out that you'd be starting today?
Yesterday.
And what have the last, 24 or 48 hours been like for you preparing to step into this spot?
Yeah, I think I've got plenty of experience in this role. Finding out at the beginning of the week, at the end of the week, in the middle of the week, when you're playing. And so I felt, that's the role of the backup quarterback. You got to be ready whenever your number's called, and I felt ready today.
Mason, where did you guys need to get to there for Boz, and what did you have in mind to get there?
Yeah, I think I don't know, anywhere around the 40-yard line, he's pretty darn good. So even north of the 40, but yeah, I think started out with a couple nice completions, and credit to them. They made some nice plays. They played some tight man coverage, and heated us up there at the end, and was able to bat the pass away. So they played a good game, and credit to the defense.
Mason, does that include with a couple of those tip passes? Do you just credit them, or do you look at it like, I should have done this and that?
No, I think you got to credit them. I think that's something that's, I know we teach it with Cam's made a career out of obviously a lot of other things, but he's one of the best at tipping the ball, and it's a game changer if you can do that and give your guys in the back end a breather.
Mason, you did some good things today.
All right, here's your quarterback comparison today, 2 starters, and I'll say this about Caleb Williams. His completion percentage is not good. It's one of the lowest in the league, but when he does get in rhythm, he can make some throws, and he's not shy about doing it. Has a really good arm. 239 yards today and 3 big touchdown passes to make that 104.3, and you see the numbers on Mason Rudolph.
And you heard TJ Watt, he said, right, Caleb Williams is really good at eluding the pass rush and getting out of the pocket, especially stepping up in those B gaps and throwing the ball down the field, and he showed that today. Mason Rudolph, really the reality was, we talked about, they were not going to let him throw the ball deep, Bob, and he struggled to throw the ball over 10 yards. In this game, he was 10 for 15 under 10 yards, but over 10 yards, he was 3 for 10. 30% with balls over 10 yards. They were not going to let the Steelers beat them deep.
But that's something that you have to fight through, and they need that element of the game. And I thought with Metcalf here, he would do that. He has not been targeted nearly as much as I thought he would, and today is another example of that. Just 5 receptions for 22 yards. They expected big things from him. And on top of that, you still have that look for a number 2 overall receiver. Roman Wilson had no catches, just 2 targets, both down the field. And again, they're not getting enough production from the wide receivers.
I thought Calvin Austin had a good game. I thought he did a great job of getting the ball, making DBs miss, and getting some extra yardage. So I thought he delivered today. Where they struggled today was getting a lot of production, except for that touchdown catch by Freiermuth out of their tight ends, where they really rely on them to move the chains and on situational football downs.
One of the bigger plays offensively for the Steelers was a tush push that was faked. It was a very good play design and execution. We'll talk to the man who ran 55 yards down to the 1-yard line next. As we continue, we'll also look down the road and find out what's ahead on the Steelers' schedule over the next 4 weeks following this loss to get them at 6-5.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
Steelers rushed for 189 yards today. Kenneth Gainwell had 92 of those, but one big play helped him. That was the fake tush push in which he went to the right side. Really good play call at the time, good play design, 55 yards there. Let's hear from Kenneth Gainwell after this game today.
Well, we were trusting our path, trusting the O-line, and I think in the second half we just had to, continue to just press more and do what we had to do.
What did they seem to change defensively in the second half there?
Yes, sir. Say that again.
Anything notable they changed in the second half there, I guess?
Nah, we just, we just wanted to run the ball and do what we had to do to get yards, and there's nothing they changed from us.
I know how frustrating it is. I know it's a long season. It's the last 6 games you guys are shooting for. And seem to be, it's been kind of like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but at the same time, we got to take it one game at a time and, just come back the next week and work hard as we did the previous week. So it's frustrating, but at the same time, we just got to come back to work and continue to try to get a win on the board.
I know Mason took most of the first team reps this week, but how long did it take you guys kind of get in the flow with him in game?
I mean, we were ready from the beginning of the game. Mason practiced all week. At the same time, we had to execute no matter who's in the game.
All right, take a look at Kenneth Gainwell's day. As I said, 92 yards rushing. He had 6 receptions. Both he and Warren are very good in that department. So you spread the wealth with them, and they were not a problem today.
Big-time contributor right here. 122 total offensive yards this week. Last week, 105 total yards. Gainwell's really getting heat and coming on as a running back for the Steelers, both in the running game and the passing game, Bob.
And I thought another key to this game here today was a call that was made. We went to break, and the official had said there was a holding on a punt return by Chicago. And so you had thought they were going to be pinned back in their own 5-yard line. Instead, they came back from the break and said that it instead was a holding on Ben Skoranek. They had a re-kick. It turned out to be a 34-yard difference in field position. It led to a touchdown right after that.
Absolutely. Put the ball on the 40-yard line of the Chicago Bears and really drastically changed the field position and really flipped the field. Because you think about it, starting at the 40 versus starting at the 6 is a major advantage for the Bears.
And right after that, they went to work. Odunze with 2 catches over the middle, and then it was DJ Moore wide open over the middle, so they made the most of that situation. All right, so the Steelers now find themselves looking at a couple of tough games coming up, and one of them is a head-to-head meeting against the Baltimore Ravens. This is our Ford road ahead. The upcoming schedule, we have the Bills. It's a CBS game. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson will be here next week. 4:25 kickoff. The Bills have struggled. They've lost to some backup quarterbacks, and they're not protecting Josh Allen. The receivers aren't getting open. They're 7-4, though, so it's a big game for both teams. And then at the Ravens, and that'll be a huge game on the schedule before the Dolphins and Lions follow that.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with this Bills game. They started out 4-0, Bob. Now they're 3-4 over the last 7 weeks. The Steelers are 2-4 over the last 6 weeks. 2 teams that are kind of reeling right now. Let's see who can get back on track. Something tells me, though, the Steelers are on 1 week, off a week, on 1 week, off a week. Maybe this week's an on week for the Steelers.
It's home, and they need to respond. There's no question about it. You don't want to go 6-6. You could actually fall behind by 1 game of the Ravens because they have the Bengals this coming Thursday night. So that's going to be another opportunity for a team to get extra rest heading into a game against the Steelers. The Bills have had extra rest because they played last Thursday night. So we have a lot more to talk about. We want to hear from you coming up on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. And that's what we're going to do next as we continue with our coverage of a Steelers loss today in Chicago, Soldier Field. What do you say? Where are the Steelers in the next couple of weeks? We'll talk to you next right here on KDKA.